Today I wanted to share another Pilates flow with you all. So just a nice set of exercises to get some movement into your body, wake you up, work out some of that stiffness if you've been sitting for a long time. So I hope you enjoy, and we'll start laying down. We're only going to need a mat today, no other equipment. So laying down, I like to always start with a few deep breaths. I want you to cross your arms and kind of try to reach your hands into your armpits and back, like you're trying to give yourself a really big hug. And here we're going to take a couple deep breaths, and I want you to really focus on trying to fill the ribs where your hands are. When we have our arms crossed like this, it's much harder for us to lift our rib cage up as we breathe, so it's kind of forcing us to expand out with our breaths. Try to keep your neck and shoulders relaxed. We'll do one more like this. And then we'll let our arms come to our sides. And we're going to do a little movement of the pelvis before we get into larger movements. So we're going to start with just a rock. So inhaling, I'm trying to rock more onto my tailbone. My low back is lifting off the mat. I'm reaching that way. Exhaling, I'm drawing my pubic bone up. I'm pulling my belly button towards my ribs. I'm lengthening my low back into the mat. Inhale, rock away from the mat. Exhale, curl. Now as I do this, I'm trying to keep my legs quiet. So my feet are not pushing into the ground at all in any part of this motion. I'm trying to just use my abdominals and the muscles around my spine to control it. Now I'm going to find neutral, and I'm going to try to go from side to side. So now I'm trying to take the left side of my pelvis heavier, the right hip bone lifts up, it's trying to go straight up to the ceiling, into center, and reverse. Again, trying to keep the feet out of it as much as I can. Using my breath, inhaling as I come to the center, exhaling as I go into the movement. I'll do one more on each side. And then we're going to try to put those movements together and make what we call a clock. So I'm going to imagine if the back of my pelvis was a clock, that I have 12 at the top near my spine, 6 at the bottom near my tailbone, 3 is on the back where one hip bone is, and 9 is on the back where the other hip bone is. And I'm going to try to circle the clock. So I'm going to start at 12, I'm going to go to 9 or 3, it doesn't really matter, to 6, to the other 3 or 9, and back to 12. And I'm trying to make this smooth and even. So you might notice that particularly when you're going to 3 or 9, one side wants to move and the other side doesn't. So on the side that wants to move, don't go as deep into it as you can. And on the side that doesn't want to move, see if you can press into it just a little bit more so that you can find even movement from side to side. Again, I'm trying to keep my feet quiet, so I'm doing this movement all through the muscles in my center. And it can be as big or as little as you need for control. There's no right way or right size. We're going to end at 12 and we're going to reverse directions. And you might notice that one direction is easier than the other as well. And these are all things, again, there's no right or wrong, just things to notice about your body. It's going to start telling you a story if you pay attention. And that story might have to do with the way that you stand every day, or the way that you sit in a chair, or these constant patterns and habits that we have that we do with our bodies that we don't think about. They're going to start showing up in these really small movements that you do. And I'm going to finish this one on 12. And I'm going to lift one leg and the other leg, so I'm in tabletop. Ribs are connected, arms are resting on the mat, and I exhale and tap. We're just going to do a few here. So now I woke up all of those muscles around my pelvis, and now I'm using them to keep my pelvis really still as my legs move. I'm going to put them down, and I'm going to open one knee out to the side. The farther away from my body my leg goes, the more I have to engage through my center to keep my pelvis steady. And I'm trying to feel that bone, my femur, turn a little bit in the socket as my leg opens out. My non-moving leg stays pointing up. And again, I'm still trying to not press my feet into the ground. I'll do one more on each side here. And then I'm going to do a heel slide. So a heel slide is actually a little bit of a hip stretch, but we have to stay really active to do it. So I'm going to pick a leg, I'm going to pick my left leg, I'm flexing my foot, and I'm going to start sliding it out, nice and gentle, trying to keep the muscles on the front of my hip relaxed. And as my leg goes out, I have to increase tension from my pubic bone to my ribs, and I'm going to stop when I can no longer keep my pelvis still. My knee might not straighten all the way. Here, I'm really thinking about reaching through my heel, trying to get my heel to the wall, and then I push down with my heel, activating the back of my leg, and I drag it back, keeping the back of my leg working the whole time. We'll add the breath in, deep breath in, exhale as your leg reaches away. Deepening the contraction from pubic bone to ribs. And here I'm really stretching. I really have to reach from the back of my leg, so my glute is on, my hamstring is on, my heel's really pressing towards the wall. I push down and drag back. You can also have thumbs on ribs, pinkies on hip bones, and we want to make sure that the space between your fingers never changes. We'll do one more on this side and switch sides. And then we'll switch sides. So deep breath in, flexing the right foot, exhale as it slides out. Push down, inhale, drag it back. So this is another one. You might notice that it feels really different from side to side. This is much harder for me to do on my right leg. My right hip is much tighter than my left hip. I'll do two more. We're doing 4. Then I'm going to pick a leg and I'm going to lift it up. My right leg stays bent. And here I'm only going to let my left leg go as high as I can keep my hip bones level. So this is all about your hamstring flexibility. So maybe your leg is only here at a little bit of an angle if you're a little more inflexible, and that's fine. Maybe you can get your leg all the way up so that it's pointing essentially straight up. Great. But work where you have control. And you're going to know if your in your correct range, if your hip bones have not moved as your leg lifts, and if your low back is not pressing into the mat. So we're trying to maintain that neutral pelvis here, neutral spine, which means that there's little sense of lightness through my low back in the mat. I'm engaged by wrapping my abdominals in, not by pressing my low back into the mat. And then I'm going to exhale, lower my leg, only as low as I can go without losing the stability of my pelvis. Inhale, lift. You can add the foot in. Exhale, lower, flex, point, inhale, lift. And I'm really thinking about being active through the reach of my leg, like I'm trying to touch the wall and touch the ceiling. And as my leg is at its highest point, I'm feeling this stretch really deep where my femur sinks into the socket of the hip. We're trying to just move the femur in the hip joint without anything else needing to get involved. Let's do one more, and then we'll put that leg down and switch sides. So now my right leg's lifting up. And again, we've talked about already trying to keep the foot on the ground light. So here again, I'm not pushing with my left leg. I'm trying to find tension by contracting my center. So I exhale, lower, point, inhale, lift. We'll do one more. And bend the knee, put the foot down. I reach my fingers up towards the ceiling. I'm going to take a deep breath. As I exhale, I'm going to press up through my shoulder blades, trying to reach from under my arm, like if somebody was holding my pinky finger, my pinky finger's pulling me up, and relax back down. You can even slightly cock your hands so you're really trying to reach your pinky finger towards the ceiling. And you should feel like your shoulders are not creeping up as you lift your arms, but they're almost getting pulled down away from your ears more as you press up. Ribs staying nice and still. And then I exhale, press up, and reach my arms towards my ears, sinking my ribs into the mat as it goes. Inhale, lift. I need to scooch just a little bit. And exhale, reach. Inhale, lift. Elbows stay straight. The point is not getting your thumbs to the ground. The point is keeping your ribs still and your elbows straight and your palms turned in. You do all of those things at the same time, you probably won't be able to reach the ground unless you have really active flexibility in your shoulders. And then I'm going to turn this into a circle, exhaling my arms to my ears, palms flip up, fingers are reaching out towards the walls, hands come to the hips and turn in. And again, here I'm trying to feel this full movement of my scapula on my back. So they're going into upward rotation, opening up and out as my arms come to my ears. And as my arms come to my sides, they're going into downward rotation, rotating back to their neutral position. One more time. Upward rotation and downward rotation. And then I reverse. So hands come to the hips, palms turn up. Now as my arms are coming up, there's this spot right here where my hands start going above shoulder height. My ribs might really want to pop out there, and I have to reach more, press my ribs down more to keep that movement just in the joint of my shoulder. Exhale, reach. Maybe let your hands come up away from the floor a little bit higher than you think they should be. We'll do one more. And we're going to pause with our arms by our ears, nod the chin, and curl up. Trying to keep the arms pressing back and down. Nod the chin and curl. Look for your belly. Reach through the arms. do one more. And let your arms come down. Give yourself a wiggle. You open your legs up. Do a little rock and twist from side to side. And then we're going to tuck our knees up into our chest. We're going to straighten them and curl up. You can grab one calf, knee, ankle. Your other leg lowers. And here I want you to think about that simple leg up and down we were doing earlier. I'm looking for my belly. My legs switch. But again, they're only moving as far as they can stay steady in the pelvis. Exhale as your leg goes low. Inhale as it lifts, and we'll rest. Both hands come behind the head. Elbows are lifted up just a little bit. Look for your belly, curl up. We're going to extend one leg only as low as you can maintain the stability of your core. So maybe your leg is up here. And I'm rotating my opposite knee towards my elbow. My legs switch, and I switch. Now here, from the base of my ribs to my pelvis, nothing is moving. So my waist is twisting, my legs are moving, but there's no other shifting happening through my low back and pelvis. One more to each side. And into rest. We'll do one more here. Curling up. Knees come over pelvis, and now I'm shifting my legs away, drawing in, deepening the contraction, and back. We'll do 3 more. Exhale. And rest. And put your feet down, open them up, do your little windshield wiper again. And bring your legs back together. Arms by your sides. We're going to do a few articulated bridges. So here, curling again, just like we were doing with our pelvic clock. When I get all the way into my curl, I start pushing down with my feet, peeling my hips up nice and slow. I'm trying to pull my pubic bone towards my ribs the whole time. Stretch through my fingertips. Keep the ribs in. And exhale, curl back down. Inhale. Exhale, curl. Press your feet down, reach your knees over your toes. And do one more like that. Then we're going to hinge up. So now I'm keeping my back flat and I'm pressing down and pressing straight up. This should be more butt and hamstrings. Hinging back down, tapping my butt and pressing back up. And I'm going to hold on the next one. I'm going to press my arms down. I'm going to lift my right leg up and it's going to flex and lower and point and lift. 2, trying to keep my pelvis still. 3, bend down, switch sides. I push with my right leg. My left leg comes up. Pelvis stays still. Down, point up. Flex down, ribs in. Last one. And come all the way down. We're going to roll over onto our sides. You make a pillow with your head here. Knees are stacked. Slightly roll forward. We're going to do a few clamshells. Keep your ribs in, and I'm trying not to curl my pelvis, so there's a sense of untucking, like I'm trying to point my butt towards my feet, but keeping tension from my pubic bone. My top knee lifts and down. Here we should feel the work in the back of the butt, not at the hip bone. I do a lot of clamshells. They're good for you. Let's do one more, and we're going to keep our leg up. And then I'm trying to keep my top leg where it is and rotate it in space to lift up my foot and back. So ideally, my knee stays at the same height, but my leg is turning in and turning out. In and out. This might be really uncomfortable. Probably means you just need to do it more. This is internal rotation of the hip. We'll do one more. And then we're going to extend the legs on a diagonal. So I have a little bit of a crease at my hips, and I'm going to do a rondeggion. So my top hand is going to support me just a little bit. My top leg hovers, and it's going to lift up, up and around, trying to keep the pelvis steady. It comes all the way back, and legs come together, and up, up and around. Really trying to keep the pelvis still, so I'm just turning the thigh in the socket, which means maybe it doesn't feel like a big movement, but it should feel like a really hard movement. And then I reverse, pressing back only as far as I can go without arching my back. So I'm drawing up through my belly, lifting the leg up and around to come back to straight out. Find that opposition through your belly as your leg goes into extension. And we'll do one more in this direction. And then you can take a little stretch here, bending your knee up, giving yourself a little bit of a twist. And we'll switch sides. So getting set up, head on your arm, hip bones stack, slightly rolled forward, ribs are in, butt is untucked, and top knee presses up. Notice if your back wants to arch while you're doing your clamshells. Or if you're really tucked under. If you're really tucked under, you're going to be feeling this more in your hip bone. Try to stick your butt out. I'm going to do two more because I'm terrible at counting. If you've watched any of these videos with me already, you will have figured that out. Keep your leg up, and then we're rotating in place. I'm thinking about reaching my heel towards the ceiling as I'm lifting my foot, not my toe, which is going to do some weird stuff to my ankle. We'll do two more here. And then we take the legs out and we do our rondeggion. So top hand can support, top leg hovers, draws up, big circle, and draws back. Ooh. There we go. Remember, working in the range where you can control the movement of your pelvis. So there should be no tipping. One more in this direction. We're trying to just move the femur. And reverse. pressing back, not allowing the back to arch through extension. Last one. And bend, give yourself a twist. And we'll come up onto the hands and knees. Grip the fingertips, or grip the ground with your fingertips. Knees under hips, shoulders drawing down. Push. And we're going to do a little cat and cow. So now we're going to move from the tail and the head at the same time, curling the tail, dropping the head. Press your hands into the ground, keep your shoulders down away from your ears. Lift your head, lift your tail. Keep your belly engaged. Shoulders are drawing down, you're still pushing into the mat. And push and curl. So as I go into extension especially, I'm not letting my shoulders relax. I'm not letting my shoulder blades slide. I'm still pushing into the mat the whole time, so my shoulders are staying still. My spine is moving around them. And you can sit back on your heels for a moment. If your wrists need a little more waking up, you can do some wrist circles. My wrists always need a little more waking up. I'm going to go in the other direction. And I'll switch sides. And we're going to go back on hands and knees. We're going to go into a plank. So I'm starting with my hands right below my shoulders, shoulders drawing down, gripping the ground, knuckles are connected. I'm going to reach one leg back. Here, I'm drawing up through my belly, I'm squeezing my butt, I'm pushing, the other leg comes back. Belly's lifted, butt is on, shoulders are down. Trying to get long from my heels through the crown of my head. And my knees come down. I can sit back for a moment. And I'm going to do that again. One leg goes back, engage it. Other leg goes back. This time, I'm lifting one foot by pointing my toe. The other foot presses me forward and back. And I switch legs. Point the toe. Forward, back, switch. Forward, back, switch. Forward, back, down. And sit all the way back. I'm going to sit on my side. So here, I'm going to kind of cross my ankles. So my bottom leg, knee is bent. My top leg is coming over with my foot flat. I'm on my right hip. My right hand is on the mat under my shoulder, maybe just a little bit in front. And my left hand is resting on my knee, palm up on my left knee. I'm going to press up through my hand, through my hips. I want kind of a comfortable bent position so my legs aren't super close in. They're kind of reclined. I'm rolling my shoulder down. I'm pushing into the ground with my hand. And I'm going to press up. My top hand comes up. And I'm going to turn and bring that top hand to meet my bottom hand and turn back and bend to come back to the mat. So I'm going into a little bit of a twist at the top. I press, I sweep, shoulder on the mat is down. I bring that arm, I look at my hand, I come back and I bend. And do that one more time. Pressing up, Sweep, I'm pressing my hips up towards the ceiling. I'm allowing myself to turn. Shoulder stays down away from the ear. Back. And then I'm going to go up, I'm going to stay up, and I'm going to circle my arm a few times. So I go up, and I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to circle my arm back. 2, 3, and forward. 1, 2, 3. And down. And we'll switch sides. So again, kind of an open bent knee position. I guess this would be kind of an attitude shape if you are a dancer. Shoulder is down, pressing into the mat through the heel of my hand, and I'm thinking about connecting through my armpit. Free hand is on the knee, palm up, and I press up, sweeping that top arm, rotating, tap, and back. And again, pressing up, sweeping, and back. We'll go like that one more time, and then we'll do our arm circles. Hips press up, belly is tight. And I'm keeping the shoulder pulling down the whole time. So at no point has it crept up when I'm up in my plank. Now we go up into our arm circles. So I press up and I circle back. 1, 2, 3. Keep your glutes engaged. And reverse. 1, 2. Shoulder down. 3. And all the way down. We're going to come all the way over onto our belly. We're going to open up our arms. Elbows are a little lower than the shoulders. Drawing the belly button up and off the mat, reaching your toes towards the wall so there's some activity through the legs. We slide the shoulder blades down the back and use that slide to pull the head and chest up. Gaze lifts slightly. Have your ribs popped into the mat. Keep pulling them in. We should feel all this work through our mid-back and not through the low back. So I'm still trying to pull my belly button up, tuck my tail a little bit, and come down. We'll do that again. Pull from the shoulder blades. Belly stays tight. And we're going to come up and bring our arms in so that we're supported on our elbows. Shoulders drawing down, trying to keep that connection through our mid-back. Belly lifted, glutes engaged. I'm going to flex one foot and bend the knee. And flex the other foot and bend the knee. Now as I do this, I'm keeping my hip creases open into the mat. So I'm not letting my butt pop up as my leg bends. If you have really tight quads or hip flexors, this might be a big challenge. You have to really connect through the front of your body as your knee bends. Maybe you can't bend your knee as much as you think you should be able to if you're really staying connected through the belly. Shoulders are down, elbows are pushing. One more. And I can come all the way down. And then I might slide my hands so they're at about head height. Draw my shoulder blades down my back, start pulling myself up. When I go up as high as I can with my back, my hands can press me up the rest of the way. Shoulders down, chest lifted, legs are active and reaching. And lower. We'll do that just one more time. Slide the shoulder blades down. Hip bones open into the mat. Belly lifted, legs reaching, long neck, and down. We're going to sit back on our heels in child's pose. And here, just take a couple deep breaths, trying to breathe into your low back and the backs of your ribs. And then I'm going to walk my hands to the right and let my butt shift towards the left a little bit. And then my hands walk through center to the left, and I shift my hips to the right a little bit. And we can come all the way up, kneeling, and here just take a couple more deep breaths, relax your neck and shoulders. You can always sit cross-legged if kneeling is uncomfortable. And we're all done. Thanks so much for watching. Please send me a message or comment if you have any questions. Love to hear from you. Hope you guys are taking good care of yourselves, and hope you're not going too crazy being stuck at home. This is how I'm keeping myself entertained, so if you have any requests, I am more than happy to accommodate them. So just let me know, and have a great day. Bye.